quite old, another 90 plus years. The major goal of the act was to ensure, so as for possible, for every working woman and man in the nation is safe and has a healthy working condition for preserving our human resource. Why I want them to be healthy? Because I want to preserve this human resource. What happened in the Bhopal gas tragedy, or Hiroshima, Nagasaki, when the bomb was dropped? That atom bomb has caused genetic hazard in the human structure, which is even visible to this date, right? So it is important for us to preserve our human resource. So we have to have an environment, and the industry has to give an environment which is safe and which is healthy for the people who are working over there. The number of ideas were proposed by the Occupational Safety and Health Act to achieve in its fundamental aim. Some of them are mentioned over here. The first one, mandatory occupational safety and health standard. So I have to have some kind of standards. You'll understand now what is the meaning of standard. So every organization, every industry has to put up some datum lines, some fundamental lines, some standard that this is a minimum thing that has to be there. Below this, it should not go. So that is your standard. How when we draw a graph, we have a reference line, right? So similarly, health and safety, some standards have to be maintained. Then effective enforcement. Effective enforcement means when I'm saying a law is laid, there is a law made, then everybody should follow that law. Okay, and I should see that the law is followed. Now, for example, let us take the example of what is happening only. There is a lockdown announced, and we are not supposed to get out of the house, but still, if you go in the mornings, you will find foolish people walking around. In all the year, when every entire year they were not worried about their health and they never went for walking, you will find people going for walking in the mornings also. It is literally crowded in the morning for walks. It is crowded in the marketplaces. What is happening? The law enforcement is not taking place. We are not able to enforce the law. The law is come up that there is lockdown, but enforcement is not happening. Third one, uniform record keeping and reporting procedures, meaning whatever is happening in the industry, there should be a record of it. Now, for example, if I take a small, if example kind of a view I will take you, you have your classroom, you have a timetable, and from morning 9 to 12:30 or 1 o'clock, you have your theory classes running, then you have a lunch break and you have a lab, right? So there is a record maintained for that. We have attendance system wherein we are seeing how many students are attending on a daily basis, whether the classes are running or no, or whether it was a, there was some period which was off, right? And then if something has gone wrong, like they were say you did a mass bunk, what happens? That will be reported. So this is, I'm telling for your understanding level, what is a record keeping and what is reporting procedure. So when you, now you're a student, this is your what daily routine. When you start working, so there also on a daily basis, you have to keep a record and report to your higher authorities. So that has to be taking place properly. Then separate but independent, fourth one, separate but independent responsibilities and rights of employees with respect to achieve safe and healthy working conditions. So there should be each person's responsibility, and it is also the right of the employee for his safety and health. The employee's health and safety, it is his responsibility also. It is not only, the organization's responsibility. Again, I will quote the example of what is going on pandemic situation. It is a responsibility of each of our citizens, us individuals, to stay at home. For whom? For our health, right? But what is happening? That is not happening currently. If you are aware of what is going on, if you are looking at news and all, that is not happening, which indicates what? We are not responsible. We cannot blame. Blame game is going on everywhere, but we cannot blame anybody else. We cannot blame the government. Why? Because we are not following law. How many of you used to wear the masks when you were in the college campus? Ask yourselves. You did not answer to anybody over here. Or you have seen your own friends, whether they were wearing masks when they were in the college campus? No. This is what has gone wrong. Sir used to come around and tell you all, wear your masks, but none of you were bothered, right? There were many students of this category, not all of you for that matter. So it is your individual responsibility also for your health. Same way, it applies to the health and safety when I'm talking at the workplace. The worker also should have that sense of responsibility, and it is his right, he should know, to achieve safe and healthy working conditions. Next point, the establishment of Occupational Safety and Health, OSHA, and National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. This was also come into picture, or this was also generated. Now, what is this Occupational Safety and Health Administration? So there are some standards in the administration. When we are talking of, all of you are aware of IIT colleges, right? So IIT works in a different way. Under VTU, colleges work in a different way. You have NITs, that is National Institute of Technology. Those way in a different way, right? Every institution has got some kind of standards for that. So similarly, let us talk about the administration standards when it comes to occupational safety and health. The most distinction is between the safety hazards and the health hazards. So there are two things when we are talking of a person's health and safety. So one would be the safety conditions, what the organization is providing to the person for his safety because of the prevailing working conditions. And next would be the health as a standard. What is health standard? Meaning, because of the kind of work, because of the nature of work, what would be the health problems that would arise in the person. Okay, so safety is provided because I know the work is dangerous. Next, because of the work, what kind of problems can occur in the health of a person. So overall the administration is broken into two, that is the safety standards and the health standards. Now when he's talking of this, he says these both deal with the toxic, okay, health standards are the ones which deal with the toxic substances, and safety are the one which intended to protect against the traumatic injuries. Okay. Another distinction is based on the scope of standards. So what are the scope of standard? He talks something of horizontal standards and vertical standards. What is horizontal standard? It is applied to a wide variety of operation in virtually all industries. So when I'm talking of horizontal and vertical, just assume the structure to be something like a T structure. A T alphabet T, English alphabet T. How is it? It has got one horizontal, it has got one vertical. So that is a T. So horizontal standards means something which is covering in a broader way. When I talk of horizontal, broader way. What is a broader way? It is generalized rule for everywhere, right? So when I'm talking of rules and regulations laid by the government for the people, it comes in horizontal standard, meaning that is applicable to everybody, all the industry, whatever kind of industry, it is applicable to all. So everyone is coming in a picture. Wide variety of operations are coming, or wide variety of people are coming into that. That is what is horizontal standard. When I'm talking of the T section bottom part, right, vertical standard. This vertical are developed for specific type of employment, meaning this now when I'm talking of the vertical section or the T's web part, it is changing from type of an industry to type of industry, or type of employment to type of employment. So there, when I'm talking of construction technology, or I'm talking of construction field, then the laws would be different, the rules would be different. If I'm talking of an educational institution, the rules would be different. If I'm talking of a chemical industry, the rules are again different, right? So vertical standard means it is applicable to uh, only one area. Okay, in detailed I'm studying, that is vertical standard. The best example for you to understand is your PUC is a horizontal standard, what you study after 10 up to 10th or 10th board examination, and PUC whatever you do, that is horizontal standard. Why? Because 10th standard and that PUC what you're doing, after that you can go to any field. That is your horizontal standards. Vertical standards are what? After doing that, when you enter engineering, say, a civil person is studying about civil engineering, a electronics and communication person is studying about that, a telecommunication person is studying about telecommunication. They are not mixing there. So that is your vertical standards. So when we talk of the occupational safety and health administration, it is basically divided into these four. First two sets are different, that is safety and health. That is basically related to what safety you're giving and what health precautions have to be taken because of the kind of work. Next, it is also divided into horizontal and vertical standards. Many occupational safety and health administration standards are consonant standards which have been adopted from nationally recognized organization, notably from American National Standard Institute. Many of our rules and regulations which are picked from this ANSI, that is American National Standard Institute, and the National Fire Protection Association, that is NFPA, along with American Society of Mechanical Engineers. So the basically from Western only, it is Americans. So from whatever rules and regulations are laid by them, from them only the standards have been picked up. Now what it contains, the administration, occupational safety, OSH administration proceeds on the basis of its own information, petitions from the interested parties, and the recommendation from the other government agencies, recommendation from NIOSH form in an important basis for the administration standards. Now, when I'm laying a rule or when I'm putting a standard, I'm going to tell now this is a standard set of instructions, this has to be followed. On what basis I'm going to lay that particular rule? First, basis of its own information. So when I'm going to tell that, for example, let us consider students who have got less than 40% attendance are not going to be allowed for examination. On what basis I'm going to put this rule? Because I would have observed in the classroom there are many absentees. I would have observed the result analysis of the students who are not attending. Automatically they have got some less marks. That is why I am putting. So I have a set of theory behind that why I am declaring that less than 40% are not allowed for examination. So that is own information. So first one, that is the administration standard, proceeds on the basis of own information. Petitions from interested parties. So when I am owning a chemical industry and I know that my workers are going to deal with so and so kind of chemicals which will have some safety conditions required, some kind of skill set required, then it is individual party's interest. He will tell this is the requirement for the worker. He has to do this. If it is not, no, not allowed. Right? So petitions are coming from interested parties. They will consider that, and the recommendation from the other government agencies. So sometimes the government also recommends. So for example, when I'm talking of construction site and a JCB, all of you will not be able to use the JCB. Is it easy to sit on that JCB and use the JCB for whether it is digging or whether I want to demolish something? No, a person is trained to use the JCB. So there is a minimum requirement for a driver who is going to be driving the JCB, right? So that time what happens, recommendations also come ahead, the petitions also are there, skill set is required. Based on all this, the administration standards will be laid. Next one, OSHA may establish an advisory committee to make recommendations for the development of standards. Requirements are laid down for the composition of advisory committee and for the time periods within which it must act. Meaning what? We will have a advisory committee who will be checking on the standards. Now, first I will lay a rule. We will come back to your kind of examples when I say a statement that 40% below attendance students are not going to be permitted. So that is a standard or that is a rule that is laid up. And then this rule is made up by whom? Head of department probably. What will be happening along with that? There will be an advisory committee also who will be recommending. No, don't make it 40, make it 50, or no, don't make it 40, make it 35. Or who are these? They could be staff who are giving input, who are working with the students. They could be the principal or the head of department only who is like, okay, let us change little. So advisory committee based on something. Pandemic was there was holiday. Usually, if forget the pandemic, generally when you see your odd semesters are from your June to December. So odd semesters will have more number of holidays because you will have lots of vacations coming there. Diwali, Dasara, Ganpati, everything comes over there, right? So attendance becomes a problem in those cases. I'm telling you general scenario. So that time recommendations flow in. So the same thing, example over here is, it may be establish an advisory committee who will be giving some inputs and we can always consider those inputs. Next point, if OSHA decides that a standard should be issued, it must publish a proposed standard and give the public at least 30 days to comment in writing. So when we are talking of a standard to be laid to a industry, directly I cannot impose that rule. Okay, I will have to announce the rule. I have to give some time for them. Now, for them to give their side of story, or their inputs also are required at times. What is the problem? If the industry is somewhere away from the city, they will have commutation time they will require. So such things also will be there. We have to consider all such things. So when they are basically, the point is, if they are making some rule or a standard which has to be issued, then they have to first publish it and give it to the people, workers, and they have to give them 30 days of time for them to come back in a give a writing statement if there is some kind of changes that has to be done. That is, if objections to the proposals are filed and public hearing is requested, then such a hearing must be held. If they want an open discussion to be held, that time that has to be permitted. Next one, on the basis of the entire record, OSHA must either promulgate the standard or determine that no standard is needed and must publish a statement outlining its action. So say there was some kind of meeting held and then people had some objective everything. So after all this happening, on the basis of the records that happened after all the meetings and all, either they must continue with their so-called standard with some changes, or they should totally demolish. And either whether they're continuing with the standard or they are canceling the standard, they have to notify this also to the workers that we have cancelled this, or we are going ahead with this rule. So that also has to be published in a statement to as an action plan, or has to be told to the people. Next one, certain prescribed time frames for most stages of rule making must be followed. That is what, when I'm enforcing a rule, I should give some time to the people, right? For them to get adjusted, from them to know that, okay, a new rule is come, I need to follow that. Suddenly I cannot make rule. Suddenly I cannot announce that, we are detaining the students who are less than 30. We have to do that once. We have to tell them, we have to warn them. After that, we will be taking the action plan. So suddenly it cannot be done. There should be some prescribed time frame. Okay. There are particular characteristics which apply to good standards. Now, when I'm talking of a good standard, bad standard, now good standard, what are the characteristics which define the good standard? Firstly, it must suggest something which can be attained. For example, I cannot say I will become the Prime Minister of India. Why? Your goal should be attainable, correct? Or I cannot say at now, at this stage, that I will go and play in the Olympics. No, it is not possible for me. Why? Because I am not a sports person. I have never been into sports. I mean, small fine, okay, but we are not been into sports. How can I go and win a gold medal in the Olympics? It's not possible. So when you're laying a rule, a standard, it must be something which is achievable. Attainable means which is achievable. So lay something, make a rule which can be followed, which can be attained. Next, it should be economically feasible or feasible. Automatically, everything ends down and comes down to the economy only. That is money factor. So when a rule is enforced or something new is coming up, we should see that economy should not be, directly proportional to it. It should be economical enough. It should not be expensive. Next one, it should be meaningful and applicable to the situations in which it is to be used. I laying a rule which is not at all connected to the students, but I say it is for the students, it is of no use, right? So it should be meaningful, why we are enforcing that standard or what is the importance, and it should be applicable. People should be able to apply it to the situations. Next one, it should be understood by its users. When we lay a rule to the students, you will be told that your timings are 9 to 5, don't come after 9, don't go leave before 5. You should understand why it is like that. Simply I lay a rule and you are not able to get why we are doing this, for what we are called over here. Similarly, it is applicable to the workers. If they're not understanding what is the standard or what is the rule laid, then what is the point, right? So it should be understood by its users. Next one, it should be consistent in its interpretation. Whatever rule is laid, it should be consistent. Now, consistent batsman, you will be knowing the terminology. Consistent batsman means always he is on that path. Consistently he is doing good, right? So the rule also should be consistent in its interpretation. I have interpreted some kind of things which could go wrong or which are wrong, which are not good or beneficial for the people, and that is why I've come up with the rule, right? So that consistency has to be maintained when an interpretation is being done, whether it is required or not. Lastly, it should be both stable and maintainable, meaning the rule whatever is laid has to be stable and people should be able to maintain the rule. Okay, so those are some of the characteristics that can be applied in case of a good standard or good role. Next, coming to OSHA enforcement, meaning the Occupational Health Safety Act enforcement. Okay, the Act enforced OSHA standards by allowing surprise workplace inspections, and if violations are found, situations could be issued and civil penalties proposed. These aspects of enforcement have been upheld by the courts. Meaning what? When I'm talking of enforcement, law enforcement now, how it happens? For me to check whether the law is enforced or not, I will be having surprise visits to the classroom, not the classroom, as in to the workplace. So there will be some surprise inspections conducted. Surprise, why is the term surprise? Sudden. If I'm telling you that I'm coming for inspection on Thursday, automatically you will see that on Thursday you will keep everything fine. But if I don't announce to you that I'm coming on Thursday and suddenly I drop into your industry on Thursday to check, obviously I would get the actual scenario. Somebody who is maintaining the records on a daily basis will not have any problem when somebody is coming unannounced. But if some kind of wrong things are going on or the laws are not being followed, in such a case, if surprise visits are happening, then automatically they would be caught. So law enforcement, when it is taking place, they will have a surprise workplace inspection, and if they find that there are some kind of violations, that is they are not following the standards or situations which are against, then they could lay civil penalties. That is, they could file a case over that industry and penalties have to be paid by the industry, or basically some kind of punishment will be given to them for not following the law. So these aspects of enforcement have been upheld by the courts, meaning there are courts for this which will take care of all this. Now, what are the laws that are governing OSHA? Some of the laws in our country which are governing OSHA are the Factories Act. There is act only for the factory people. The Factories Act, which was laid in 1948. The Mines Act, obviously this is connected to people who are into mining, 1952. The Dock Workers, that is Safety, Health and Welfare Act, that is 1986, it was laid up, are some of the laws which contain provisions regulating the health of the worker in an establishment. Whereas the Employees State Insurance Act 1948 and Workmen's Compensation Act 1923 are compensatory in nature. The first three are related to the safety and health at the workplace. The Insurance Act, that is Employees State Insurance Act, and Workmen's Compensation are related to the compensatory. Compensatory means when something has gone wrong, some life has gone, or there was some kind of accident and then future he will not be able to work because of the accident, then in such cases they have to give a lump sum or some compensation to the family and that person, right? So these two acts are related to that. Next, coming to next act, that is health provisions under the Factories Act. Now these all would be coming as a theory question. I have told you before also, this is a theoretical subject. So these acts and what are the characteristics or what are the rules coming under the acts, you should remember along with the names and their dates. So coming to the first one, health provisions under Factory Act. So name only tells me that we will be dealing with the rules and regulations for a better health in the factories. Correct? Health provision under the Factory Act. It was laid in 1948. Okay. It was enacted with the object of protecting the workers from subjecting to unduly long hours of bodily strain or manual labor. If a person is working for 10 hours continuously in a factory, or say first day okay, second day okay, at the end of the week he will not be able to give that efficiency. For example, you take you only morning first two lectures you all are very good, probably in the class, not online, in the class. First lecture, your capacity is good, grasping capacity. Second lecture, it is still reduced, but fine. Third lecture, comparatively low compared to the first two, but still it is there. Fourth lecture, you all are out of order. You nothing will be understood by you people. Human nature, efficiency goes down. In such a scenario, if I announce a class 4 to 5 extra class, gone case only. Correct? Similarly, why that is happening? Because you have a certain period for your mindset to grasp things, to absorb things, right? It cannot overdo. Similarly, when we are working in some place, so generally 8 hours is the working. Whether you take any institution or any kind of industry, eight 8 hours is maximum or better timing for person to work. Now, if in such a scenario, if we are making people work for long hours, then automatically there would be a bodily strain and the manual labor is taking place. He is physically and mentally strained. So for such people, there was this health provisions act came into picture. It lays down that the employees should work in healthy and sanitary conditions so far as the manufacturing will allow, and that precaution should be taken for their safety and for the prevention of accidents. So wherever they are working for long hours, which includes bodily strain, then the employees should see that the health precautions and sanitary conditions are prevailing in that particular organization, and all kinds of safety measures have been taken to avoid the accidents. The Act defines a worker as any person employed directly or through any agency. So, what is a worker? He is a person who is employed directly or has been employed through any agency, like a contractor, whether for remuneration or not in any manufacturing process. Remuneration means he'll be getting some kind of money, Now, when we are talking of labors, there are daily wages labors and there are these monthly wages, wherein monthly we get. So generally salary is given monthly, but apart from this, there will be daily wages labors also. Okay, or not in any manufacturing process or in any work incidental to or connected with the manufacturing process. So in short, if you want to understand, he is a worker who is worker is a person who is employed directly or indirectly through some agency for the sake of money. Remuneration means he will be paid for that work what he is doing, whether it is a manufacturing process or some work which is connected to the manufacturing process. So section 10 of this act lays down the following rules, that is examination and certification of young persons and examinations of persons engaged in hazardous occupation. They'll have to do examination and certify these people whether they are fit or not to work under that scenario. Okay, that is why your retirement age is fixed 60. After 60, they won't be efficient to work. So they have put up a retirement age that is 60. After 60, let them stay at home because efficiency reduced. So whenever, if you are seeing, if you anytime have had anybody who has applied for police department and all, they will be having this examination test. They will have this physical examination test. They'll make them do running. They'll check their weight, height, etc. So that is examination and certification of the people whether they are fit for that job or not. Next, exercising medical supervision where the substances used for or new manufacturing processes adopted may result in likelihood of injury. So medical supervision has to be done, because if I know they are going to work in a chemical industry which is hazardous for that person's health, or it could have been of some injury to the person, then that medical supervision has to be carried out. Okay, so it is based to what type of job role it is. Lastly, exercising medical supervision in case of young person to be employed in work unlikely to cause injury. If I am employing a young person where, like, I am expecting some kind of injury might take place, then in that case also we have to have a medical record of that person, that is medical supervision has to be carried out. Chapter 9 of the Act lays down in detail the provisions related to the health, safety, and welfare measures, namely the cleanliness, level of ventilation. When we are talking of mining and all, ventilation is less only, because when they go on digging, the oxygen level only is low. So level of ventilation, diversion of dust and fumes, provision of artificial humidification, sanitation should be there proper, fencing of machinery, among others. So these are few of the provisions, or when we are talking of health and safety measures. So these things also come under that. Then there are 27 processes and operations which are identified as dangerous in the Maharashtra Factories Rule 1963. So Maharashtra state also has laid up a Factories Rule 1963, wherein they have identified 27 processes and operations which are dangerous. It could be obviously in some kind of factory only, wherein that job role is dangerous, I know. So whoever is going to be appointing for that, his total examination has to be, he has to be very responsible person. And then if something goes wrong, the kind of maintenance they will be providing for the family also will be decided prior only, and he will be all notified this before employing, and he should agree that I am fine with this job role, I know there are dangers which are going to be present, and if something happens to me, I am responsible wholly for it. Okay, there will be taken in writing. Next, last one, the Act lists 29 occupational diseases and obliges the manager of a factory and medical practitioners to notify the chief inspector of factories if any worker contracts any of the diseases. So in this act, they have already listed 29 diseases which are going to be, which are bad in nature, and they oblige to the manager of the factory that if any person is coming or he is going to show any kind of symptoms of this, it has to be notified. Okay. Next, we have next act. The previous one was related to the health provisions in the factories. Next, we have the Employees State Insurance Act. So whenever I say insurance, you understand, no? What is insurance? Health insurance you all have heard. So what do you understand by the term insurance? Can anyone tell me? What is insurance? What is health insurance? You all have heard health insurance, no?
Yeah.
What is insurance? You're insuring your life. So when I'm saying health insurance, I will make a health insurance. If something goes wrong, I have already insured, so I will be getting that amount. When I talk of life insurance, I am making a life insurance of 5 lakh rupees, say, and I will be paying some kind of amount towards it. Say before the completion of the total payment, if something happens to me, then that amount will be given to my family. So insured, security, it is for the security. So on this basis, the Employees State Insurance Act was come up. So it is a social security legislation enacted with the object of ameliorating various risks and contingencies sustained by the workers while serving a factory or establishment. If I want to tell you in simple words, by not using such big words, then it is an act which is laid down when it is known that there are various kinds of risks and hazards could be possible for a human life in the factory or in the establishment. For that person, this is there. So when we spoke, the Maharashtra's Act, Workers Act, they have identified 27 processes and works as dangerous. So their insurance will be there because the job role is dangerous. He could lose his life. So if he's losing his life, some penalty, some maintenance has to be given. No? So that is insurance. The Act does not cover seasonal employments. It defines employment injury as a personal injury to the employees caused by accident or occupational diseases in an insurable employment. So, firstly, it does not cover the seasonal employments, meaning seasonal means on and on who keep changing. Okay. Next, it defines this employment injury as a personal injury which is caused because of he working over there. It could be an accident taking place, or it could be the health which has got spoiled because of the type of work he's doing in the industry. Okay, only in these two scenarios will he be able to claim for the insurance. Okay, the act does not cover seasonal employments again. Okay, I think I have written down twice the point. The Act lays down provisions to set up an ESI corporation to promote measures to improve health and welfare of insured persons, and a medical benefit council to advise the corporation on medical benefits and certification. The Act also is laying down provisions to promote the measures to improve the health of the people who are working. Now, when I know that this industry is dealing with so and so chemicals, and automatically health hazards are going to come into picture. So, with this input, I know there is a problem. Why can't we give a solution to the problem? So, we will have some measures to improve the health of the people and the welfare of the people in that place, give them the medical benefit. Okay, so to give them a medical benefit, make a council, make a medical benefit council who will advise to the people that, okay, see, if you're working in this atmosphere, you are going to get such and such kind of disease. So these are your safety or precautionary things. If you do, you will not encounter these diseases, and let it be in kind of a benefit for people, so medical benefit and certification. Okay, so this is the Employee State Insurance Act. The main source of revenue for this ESI fund is the contribution paid by the employers and the employees. So if you have heard, and I'm not talking of ESI fund, but if you have heard PF, Provident Fund, if your parents will be working, if they're working in government or even private sectors also give that, something called as Provident Fund. What happens in Provident Fund? Say my salary is 500 rupees, and in that 500 rupees, I will say, I'm taking a very small number, okay? 20 rupees I am going to contribute towards the provident fund. What is this 20 rupees? When I say I am as an employee, I'm contributing 20%, then 20% will be 20 rupees will be contributed by the organization also, and it will go to your account. So if you are, say, out of 500 rupees, you are going to have a deduction of 10 rupees monthly, then they will also be contributing 10. So what is happening? The fund is, there is fund generation because you and the employer both are going to contribute. So this is that ESI fund where contribution are made by both employee and the employers. Okay. Somebody is trying to join the meeting. We'll just let them in. Pallavi Mishra. Okay, so that is about the ESI fund, so where the fund is generated. Next, the discretionary powers with respect to using the fund amount. Now, who has got the powers to use this? Lies solely with the corporation along with the state government. So now when this fund is there, it is used for what? For the benefit of the employee. So this power to make use is going to be lying with the state government or the corporation which is coming under the state government. According to Occupational Health and Safety Center Mumbai, the corporation has only 4 occupational disease centers for the workers. So this is just an extra point. The major point is who is the main authority for that fund. Under the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923, there exists a legal obligation on the employer to pay compensation to workmen involved in accidents arising due to the course of their employment. This is the same point. So there is a rule wherein if a worker is going to get injured working at your place, then you have to pay compensation to that worker because it's because of you and your kind of work and your not giving them safety measures that he has come to this and this date. And further, we do not know whether he will be able to work or not. So a kind of compensation has to be provided to that person who has undergone the accident. The prerequisites for payment of compensation to such workmen are: first, personal injury has to be caused, meaning if I want to claim the compensation, they will do the checkup, know what kind of accident took place, whether he is doing. Now there are so many cases where actually it wouldn't have been an accident which is naturally occurred. They induce an accident to claim the amount. That is also happening, and our country is very much known for such things, right? Bribe and such all stupid things happen in our country. So personal injury must be caused. They will be checking. Next, there must be temporary, total or partial disablement due to the accident. Meaning, say he lost his arm, then he won't be able to work. That is a not total but partial disablement for him to work because of the accident. If his arm was present, he would have continued his work and he would be earning the amount for his family. But now because his arm is lost or he has lost it during the work, So that means there is a partial disablement because of which he won't be able to work anywhere. So that has to be checked. If he's losing a finger will not have any change, much change. Out of 5 fingers, you're losing one finger will have no much change. So that is temporary, or that is not going to be accounted for. So there are certain laws, rules, standards, which one is to be considered when I say that he is totally or partially disabled. They will come and check for this, and only after that, if they are satisfied that it was, yes, Baba, he truly has lost, or some kind of disablement has happened wherein he can't work further, then only the compensation will be released. Okay. So what is this Compensation Act? Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. The law has done more to promote safety than all the other measures because employees found it more cost effective to concentrate on safety than to compensate employees for injury or loss for life. Now, when I know now, if I have an industry where such accidents are taking place, and I start realizing that the compensation is whatever I have to give is becoming more than if I would have taken a safety measure that would have costed me less. So, taking this into mind, the Compensation Act was released. So, that is why he mentions that promote safety than all other measures because they found it was more costly or cost effective to concentrate on the safety, meaning I will spend some amount and see that I will put some barricades or I will give some different kind of equipment. It is still better than to compensate on the employee after the injury. Okay. However, many employees look up insurance to cover compensation claims. This is what I talked of. They will be looking for the amount only for claiming the compensation. Over the years, insurance companies have been a driving force in establishing and maintaining effective safety programs, supporting research in safety and employing specialists. So, insurance companies are also working towards this. You all are aware of these insurances for your vehicles also, no? So, vehicle insurances are present, your two-wheeler, four-wheeler. Every year you're going to fill some amount towards that insurance. You will get your vehicle insured. So if some accident is taking place and you have that insurance, then you can claim that amount, whatever you're going to, after the accident, when you try to repair your vehicle and there is some amount that is you have to be giving for the repairing, right? You can claim that amount from the insurance company if your vehicle is insured. If it is not insured, then it is gone. Next, the right to know laws, meaning I should know what laws are present. I cannot keep my employees in darkness. They should know. They have the right to know all the rules and regulations, all the laws that are enforced when they are working at a particular workplace. The legislation or regulation that requires an employer or producer to disclose information on hazardous material disposed, emitted, produced, stored, etc., is known as the right to know law. Now, he mentions only some kind of works. Everywhere, all rules are not applicable, or all rules are not going to be stringent, or all are not important kinds of work, right? But means, for example, when I'm talking of I working as a lecturer in a college, it is not a dangerous job, right? It is not a dangerous job where I think that I will be risking my life for the sake of teaching. No. But when we are talking of a person who is working in a hazardous material, information on hazardous material disposed, if he is working with hazardous material, whether raw material or disposing, whether when the hazardous material is being omitted or produced or stored, if a person is coming in contact with all of these, they're working towards the work environment or the community, that people has got the right to know that they're working with dangerous items, or they're working with danger, or their work is dangerous. So that has to be told. The Environment Protection Agency, EPA, has also involved in right to know laws as a result of the Superfund amendments and reauthorization. Basically, meaning the Environment Protection Agency has come up also, they are also joining their hands with this, and they say that people should know what are their rights and regulations, what are the laws. All the right to know laws have three primary objectives. Now, this right to know, what are the objectives? First one, the dangerous properties of materials used for production in the workplace are determined. Now, they should know the properties of the material that they're working with. Okay. Means, in short, they should be knowing that the material is dangerous and what are its properties, because those can cause some effect to me and my health, right? So that should be told to them. The employees are to be trained in recognition of safe handling of this material. Now, when the work is dangerous, the employee should be trained enough towards it. We cannot have a layman to be working in such a scenario. The person should be trained or skilled enough to work with the with such hazardous material. Next one, the laws force companies to disclose the presence of hazardous substances, thereby making employees and others aware of the possible dangers. The law states that the companies should tell their workers of the hazardous substances that they are going to deal with, thereby making the employees and others aware that this is dangerous. So the company should tell them prior only, the workers, that see, Baba, this is a danger material. You should not be playing with it. You should use it with care. The way we tell you in the laboratories, don't mess with the instruments, especially if you're from a chemical engineering background, or if you know in chemistry lab, don't touch this, don't touch that, that is acid, it could be dangerous, something like that. It is known that the task of compliance is expensive, sometimes confusing and endless. Steps should be taken to meet the requirements and to do it cost effective basis. Okay. Now this overall procedure of telling the employees that the task is dangerous and all, it is going to be expensive, right? And sometimes the workers are going to be confused, and even you are confused, and but still this has to be carried out, because it is going to be, if I'm linking it to cost, then if they know, then they will do it properly, else there could be an hazard, and then the company has to again pay back for the compensation. So compensation means gone, cost effective is not there. So overall we should see that it is cost effective. So in that, when we are dealing with this, the important points to be kept in mind are hazard determination. The name itself tells that we should know what kind of hazard it is. So material safety data sheet has to be made. The chemical and common name of the hazard substances for a mixture and its proportion has to be known. When I'm dealing with the hazard, the material, what is the chemical composition, what substance is it, what are the proportions of the chemicals, and what are the ingredients should be known. The data sheet should be present. Next, the hazard posted by the substance, including potential for the fire exposure and reactivity. So it should also contain, this data sheet should have the hazards or the substances which are going to have fire explosion or which could react. So it should also be made note of. Third one, the health hazards, including symptoms of exposure and medical conditions. Now, I know that this person is going to get exposed to this material. What is the health hazard that is going to be caused because of the exposure? That also should go into the data sheet. Precautions for safe handling and use, including the procedures for the cleaning up, also should be known in the data sheet. So the precautions that has to be taken or the handling procedures also should be mentioned into the data sheet. So this is coming all under the data hazard determination, wherein we have a data sheet in which will contain the type of material, the chemical composition of the hazardous substances, the proportion, then what are the hazardous or diseases that are going to be caused because of that material. Then we have to write the symptoms that could be coming up, prevailing because of that material, and what are the precautions. This all will go into the material safety data sheet. Next step, the written program. All employers using hazardous substances, regardless of size, must comply with the written program requirement of OSHA Hazard Communication Standard. The program itself must describe the presence and location of the hazard substances, meaning they should be told in written, means there should be some proof that the company has already given enough information about the type of the work the workers are going to conduct, what are the health hazards because of that, what is the life risk that they're going to face. So this all has to be given in return, that is the return program, and then only the people will be coming into it. Thirdly, training. So when I know that the work is dangerous, I cannot appoint any era for that work, right? I have to train. So it is required by OSHA Hazard Communication Standard and other OSHA standards, and by this right to know laws, that they should train the people. It is left up to the individual companies to decide whether training program has to be introduced at the beginning or at the last stage. But some kind of training has to be given to the people who are working under such conditions, which is going to be a hazard to their life, and the materials are going to be dangerous. Next comes the, somebody's trying to join, admit. Okay, so this all is very important, meaning in short, the person should be notified and these all laws and rules should be there present. Next, when we are talking of hazards and accidents, so we have to know what are the causes of the accidents. An accident, now let us define an accident. It may be defined as an unplanned and uncontrolled event. Obviously, accidents are unplanned only. Nobody plans for an accident and goes for it, right? Even vehicle accident for that matter. So accidents are unplanned and uncontrolled. It is not under our control. It just happens, caused by human situation of the person, or environmental factors. It was raining heavily and there was water and we didn't understand the depth of the ditch and the vehicle went and we met with an accident. That is environmental factor. Or any combination of these factors, human and environment together, combination of these factors, which interrupts the work process, which may or may not result in injury. So when an accident happens, it need not be always there is some kind of injury. There could not be any injury also, which may or which may not result in injury, illness, death, property damage, or any other undesired events, but which has the potential to do so. These might not happen, but it has got enough potential that this can happen also, right? So that is what is an accident. Basically, it is unplanned and uncontrolled. Now, the accidents repeats with those people who have a deficiency, either permanent or short life. Such deficiency must be. What are the deficiency we'll look into? Okay. First one, lack of aptitude for the work. He doesn't know what kind of work. He doesn't know the work is dangerous. He doesn't know how to use the instrument or the equipment. That is lack of aptitude. Their accident is going to occur because he doesn't know. Next, lack of certain skills and coordination. Skill set. When I was talking of JCB, you cannot go and drive a JCB. You require that. You don't know which button is for what. When is the bumper is going to go up, when it is going to go down, right? So you should be trained. That is trained for the skills, and there should be coordination. Very important. When you are handling such equipments, there has to be proper coordination with the entire team. All will be having an eye on you. Third one, a possible literacy problem, meaning he is not educated enough and he was not trained enough. Fourth one, an attitude or personality problem. Attitude problem, the person himself is wrong. What is going to happen? I will go and try. It is not nuclear science. I can easily do. A person with such an attitude. These days, when we have young people driving KTM bikes at 60, 70, that is the attitude problem. In short, if I want to tell, you know it is dangerous, you don't want to wear a helmet, you want to go at a 60, 70, 80 speed on a KTM which is not made for Belgium roads. That is a basic attitude problem. Next, alcohol or drug problems. If the person is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, automatically he is going to go wrong. Lastly, personal life stresses. Yes, it is also one of the why accident would happen. If a person is stressed because of his personal problems, he won't be in a state of mind where he can differentiate, or he will be in a proper way to think what is right, what is wrong, or what he's doing and all. Sometimes stress are so much that they will not have the senses when they're there at their workplaces, so that also could lead to an accident. The hazards can be categorized as chemical hazards. What are chemical hazards? They are arising from the liquids, solids, dust, fumes, vapor, and gases. So these are all chemical hazards. Physical hazards, which are because of the noise, vibrations, unsatisfactory lighting, wherever there is a spark and all. Okay, radiation and extreme temperatures. Biological hazards, because of the bacteria, virus, infection, waste, and infestations. This slide also we have seen in the first lecture class. Physiological hazards resulting from the stress and strain from the personal life, stress and strain at the workplace also. Okay, then hazards associated with non-application of ergonomics principles like badly designed machinery, mechanical devices and tools, used by the workers, improper seating or workstation, etc. Okay, so these are the hazards which are categorized into the following. And then we have the hazard control program, which are including first one, hazard identification. I should identify first what kind of hazard it is. Okay, so what kind of hazard, why it is causing, what are its ill effects, what could be its effects on the human health, etc. So identify that. Next, ranking hazards by risk. Once I identify all the hazards, I will have a rank sheet, which is most hazardous, which is least hazardous. That is your rank list. So ranking the hazards, establishing preventive and control measures. So when I know this is a hazard, this is a bad thing, this is going to cause some or have some effect on the human or on my employees, I have to have some control measures or preventive measures. So establish preventive and control measures. Monitoring, constant monitoring has to take place. What is going on, whether the workers are doing it rightly or not, whether they're using the chemicals properly or not, whether they are maintaining all the rules and regulations, whether they're following the rules or not. So monitoring has to take place. Okay, lastly, evaluation program, effectiveness and feedback. At any workplace, evaluation program, evaluation means what? I will evaluate the person for the work. Correct, your assessment internals are your evaluations only, right? So even we are evaluated as a staff. So there should be an evaluation program which will tell us about the effectiveness, and the feedback will help the people. Next we have okay, another 5 minutes I will talk and then we will end the class. Okay, the theories of accident causation. So there are some theories put forth by some people, uh, wherein they are talking of why do they think the accident took place in the first place. Okay, so first one, the domino theory of accident causation. This is not the pizza dominoes. Okay, this is just the domino theory. Herbert W. Henrich, after studying the reports of 75,000 industrial accidents, meaning 75,000 people who had met with an accident, he went, he studied all the reports of those, and then he came up with this domino theory of accident. 75,000 is a very large number. Okay, after going through that, he concluded that 88% of the industrial accidents are caused by unsafe acts committed by the workers. Meaning, majority, 88 is so much majority. 88% of the accidents that are taking place in the industries are caused only because of the non-commitment of the workers. Unsafe acts of the workers, meaning the workers are responsible. They were told that it is dangerous, be careful, but they were not careful. Roads accidents are same. 88% are because of the people's fault. I agree roads are not straight. I agree that they are of not good quality. But why it is happening? When there is told a speed limit is 40 and people are still driving at 60 and 70, it is going to be, there is going to be an accident, right? So 88% are because of the people's fault, that is committed by the workers. 10% are caused by the unsafe conditions. 10% of the accident, meaning out of 100, only 10 accidents must be caused because of the unsafe conditions that are prevailing in the workplace. And 2% are unavoidable. We cannot do anything about that. That is 2% are unavoidable. So this is what he has concluded based on his reports. So his axioms for industry safety, axioms and theorems as we say in mathematics. So what he put forth for of industry safety are: injuries result from a completed series of factory, one of which is the accident itself. Okay, so whatever injuries are happening at the factories, it is because of many reasons, and one could be the accident that is taking place only. Second, an accident can occur only as a result of unsafe act by the person and physical or mechanical hazard. So when is the accident occurring? Only when there is the job role is like that and the person has not taken the precaution, unsafe act of the person. Then is when the accident is going to occur. Third one, the most of the accidents are as a results of unsafe behavior of the people. That is because of that 88% only you would have put forth this axiom. Fourth one, The unsafe act by a person or unsafe condition does not always immediately result in accident. Now, when a person is irresponsible or unsafe act is there by a person, it is not going to always result into accident. Only in some cases it is going to result into accident or injury. Fifth one, the reason why people commit unsafe acts are can serve as helpful guides in selecting corrective action. Now, if I am able to figure out the reason why people are committing the same mistake again and again, then it could help me as a guide for the further corrections. Correct? If I get to know why these people are committing this, even after telling why people are not following, if the unsafe acts are being continuously done, if I get to know the reason for that, then I can put up a guideline for the correcting of the actions. Sixth point, the severity of accident is largely by chance and accidents that caused is preventable. So when we are talking of the severity of the accident, majority of the accident is taken place by chance only. It was not announced that the accident is going to happen there. It was not fixed or it was not scheduled, right? But it has happened and we have to check why it was not prevented, correct? Next, the best accident prevention techniques are analogous with best quality and productivity techniques. So when I'm talking of prevention of accidents, it is I can best avoid it by using good quality materials and productivity techniques, how people are going to work. If a same person is going to work for 10 hours on the same equipment, first few hours he is attentive. Later he is going to lose interest or he would get tired, fatigue. That also could cause to accidents. Eighth one, management should assume responsibility for safety since it is the best position to get results. So they should take up the responsibility of the safety of their workers. Next, ninth one, the supervisor is the key person in the prevention of the industrial accident. There is a supervisor there present in all the areas. Okay, especially when I'm talking of industries, the supervisor, if he is constantly taking care of all, he is on supervision, he is going, taking rounds, he is checking the equipment, he is checking the people. I will get to know what kind of person A and B are working together. Person A, I will know he is not working much, but he is a person who can cause problems. So I will keep an eye on him. I will keep warning him, be careful, be careful. So that is the role of a supervisor. If he is doing that properly, then prevention of industrial accidents can take place. 10th one, in addition to direct cost of accidents, there are also hidden and indirect costs. So when I'm talking of a cost of accident, that is compensation, liability, claims, medical cost, etc. Apart from this, there could be some hidden and indirect costs also. Okay, the domino theory, I will take this up in the next class because I don't know, it is theory and you will be tired by now, right? So I'll just stop recording.